Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. Today, doing the breakdown video for David Benavidez versus David Lemieux, as they are going to collide for the WBC Interim Super Middleweight Championship of the world, basically to become the #1 contender to the WBC title, currently held by the undisputed champion and pound for pound king, Canelo Alvarez. So the winner is in a serious position to land a big fight, potentially, land that fight. So, heading into this one, you got David Benavidez, 25 years old. He's rolling, undefeated, 25-0, 22 knockouts, looking to impress, keep himself in the mix for the Canelo sweepstakes, going against the veteran, the former middleweight champion of the world, David Lemieux, the hard-hitting former middleweight champ. So, big-time matchup. Benavidez coming in the clear favorite, Lemieux the clear underdog, but these are two guys that hit and hit hard. So all action taking place Saturday, May 21st on Showtime. So as normal with the breakdown videos, I give a little layout of the fight as I just did. Then I start with the favorite and then work my way to the underdog and or champion and challenger. In this case, we'll talk about Benavidez first and then David Lemieux, but I ask the same questions. First, I talk about what they've done rolling into the fight, pretty much their last 2 to 3 years, or 2 or 3 fights rolling in. Then I discuss the, I ask the questions, I ask the 4 or 5 basic questions for each fighter. Then I go into what do they need, is it better for boxing if one or the other wins? And then the prediction. So let's kick it off with the undefeated WBC interim champion, David Benavidez. He's the favorite rolling into this fight. Very clear favorite, 25-0, 22 knockouts. And rolling in, Benavidez has been, he's been doing his thing. His last 3 fights have stretched back to 2020 when he stopped Romer Angulo in a fight where he came in overweight. He lost the WBC title on the scales because he came in overweight, and then went in there against Angulo, broke him down, stopped him, and stayed undefeated. But his fight after that, I believe, was against Ronald Ellis last year, 2021 in March. He pretty much just outworked Ronald Ellis. And to me, it wasn't that impressive of a win because I just felt like he should have gotten him out of there earlier. But be that as it may, he got the win and stopped him in the 11th. And then his last fight was in November against Kyrone Davis, who took the fight on short notice. And he went in there and, just was the better man that night, stopping Davis. Davis showed a lot of heart, but Benavidez just throws a lot of punches, broke him down, and stopped him in the 7th round to stay undefeated. So now rolling into this fight, he's got a lot of confidence. He's pissed off and he's bummed out, but he's motivated heading into this fight because he was part of the deal for Canelo. If Canelo would have chose PBC, it would have been Charlo and Benavidez most likely, and he was part of that deal and got turned down. So he really wants the Canelo fight, but he wants to fight whoever it takes to land the Canelo fight. So he's going to do this one. There was talks about him and potentially Caleb Plant in the second half of the year. There's also been talks of him and Demetrius Andrade, who's supposed to be making his super middleweight debut also soon. And, Benavidez just wants to get that work and set up that big fight so he can potentially get to Canelo in 2023. So this is a big one for Benavidez. Now, what does Benavidez need to do to win this fight against David Lemieux? And he needs to roll in. He needs to, first off, not go for broke, because David Lemieux is a big their And if he tries to go for broke against David Lemieux, he's going to get hurt. There's really no other way of saying it other than he's going to get hurt. And he could potentially get caught and get knocked out, to be honest with you. David Lemieux hits hard, so Benavidez needs to use his height, which he's got a 3-inch height advantage, and he has a 4.5 reach advantage. He needs to use that and use his height, use his boxing ability, because I'll be honest with you, if this guy ever gets in a ring with Canelo, if he wants to have any kind of a chance of beating Canelo Alvarez, he's going to have to box a little bit to do that. He cannot just rely on his power. So he needs to start honing that craft right now and potentially using it. So we're going to see. We're going to see if he can do that or not, rolling in against David Lemieux. If he can use his height and reach, box, and set up his power, and if he can, I believe he can break down David Lemieux and stop him. So now, can he win this fight by knockout? And I absolutely think he can win this fight by knockout. He's definitely got the power, and I definitely think he can win by a knockout. Can he win by a decision? Yeah, he could definitely win by a decision in here. I think he's the better boxer. I think if it goes 12 rounds, it's likely that Lemieux's going to be pulling off the win. But we got to wait and see, because David Lemieux, not the greatest boxer, but hey, he knows how to apply pressure. But yeah, I really think he can win a decision in this one. Now, I'm sorry, guys. What does a win mean for David Benavidez in this fight? And a win is huge. To knock out a veteran, former champion like David Lemieux, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised if he does it. But the fact that, if he goes out there and he's impressive and he can potentially set up the showdown that he wants with Canelo or one of the other guys, then that's really going to benefit him to landing that big fight. So he needs to be impressive, but a win, is going to be just kind of a step in the right direction. It's starting the ball rolling for him to land that big fight. Because if he was getting even offered to Canelo, that means he's close. And he just needs that big win. So a win over Lemieux gets him into potentially a bigger fight, and that's what he wants. Now, what would a loss mean for David Benavidez? And a loss would just totally derail this kid. A loss would be bad for David Benavidez. He does not need to lose this fight. That would totally throw everything off for David Benavidez and his potential and what is coming up. It really would derail him, and a loss would be devastating to his career. Losing your first fight is one thing. Getting knocked out by a guy like David Lemieux is one thing. But right now, for him to lose to David Lemieux would really, really derail him, and it would devastate David Benavidez. Now, let's go into the underdog, the former middleweight champion of the world, David Lemieux. David Lemieux rolling into this one is coming. He really hasn't done too much in terms of landing in terms of beating the.
Right to continue on Warner Road, then turn right onto Elkhorn Road.
He really hasn't done anything as of late to how do I say it? He hasn't really done anything the last couple years to really throw himself out there to be taken serious again. I mean, we all know David Lemieux was a serious threat until Triple G chopped him down. He was still considered to be a very good power puncher and given a lot of credit. And then what's his name? Just really ruined him, Billy Joe Saunders, with that dominant decision victory that he had over him. So, Lemieux, though, the one thing that never leaves is power. He's also a veteran. But his last 3 fights, he defeated unknown guys. I mean, I can't even tell. I know Max Bursak, who was a, kind of a so-so contender at one point. He dominated him by a split decision, though. I know he's got 2 TKO wins in a row since then. But he's literally fought once a year the last 3 calendar years. So he fought 2019, 2020, and 2021, all one time apiece. His last 2 years, he's only put in a combined 7 rounds. So Lemieux, he's got to be in great shape heading into this fight if he wants to try to pull off an upset here. You know, so what does David Lemieux need to do to win this fight? And the answer is hope that he can land that big punch. Hope that he can draw Benavidez in to start throwing bombs instead of boxing. But I don't think he needs to back off. I think he needs to be aggressive, but also use a jab. If he can jab his way in with that monster left hook that he has, if he can jab his way in to set it up, he might be able to land something flush. And like I said, do not doubt David Lemieux's power. This guy is a power puncher extraordinaire. This guy is, you know, he's been around the block. He's got 43 wins, 36 of those coming by knockout. This guy is a dangerous knockout threat right here. And I think he needs to use a jab. He also needs to hit Benavidez to the body with those power shots. If Benavidez gets close, a right hand to the body, and then follow it up with the left hook to the head if he can get Benavidez to lower himself. So he needs to try to negate the height and reach advantage that Benavidez has over him by doing these key things right here. If he can do that, like I said, he potentially could pull off a big upset. So now, can David Lemieux win this fight by a knockout? And I absolutely think he can win this. I absolutely think he can win this fight by a knockout. No questions asked. He can win this fight by a knockout. Lemieux has the power. Benavidez has shown a great chin in the past, but I honestly don't think, you know, he's been, how do I say it? I mean, just off the top of my head, thinking about it, I don't think he's faced a guy with better one-punch power than Lemieux since he became legit. I'm talking one-punch power where he can put your ass out just like that. Maybe he has, maybe he hasn't. I personally don't think he has, and that's why I think that David Lemieux can absolutely win this fight by knockout if he lands 1 or 2 big shots that Benavidez doesn't see coming. If he can do that, it could be a short night. If he can do it later on, it could be good. But I think the first half of the fight, if he can land something big, yeah, he definitely can win by knockout. Now, can Lemieux win a decision? I don't think Lemieux can win a decision over David Benavidez. Lemieux, you know, I don't think he does enough. I think Benavidez is the better boxer between the two, and he throws a lot of punches. So I think Lemieux is going to have to hope he can catch Benavidez and stop him and hurt him. But I don't see him winning a decision. Now, what does a win mean for David Lemieux? I mean, that would be to be honest, that would probably be the biggest win of David Lemieux's career, and he's had some nice ones. But I think this would put a nice bow on it, and it would set himself up with potentially a Canelo fight. I mean, you know, Lemieux has been rumored the last few years to get Canelo, but it just didn't come to fruition. But a win over Benavidez, absolutely, with his style too, with Lemieux's style, that would totally be attractive to Canelo. So yeah, I mean, if he wins, that would be the biggest win of his career, and it would definitely change the game for David Lemieux for sure. What does a loss mean for David Lemieux? And you know what's funny is I don't think a loss is really I don't think people are gonna be surprised if he loses. So I don't think a loss really hurts him all that much. I think if he loses the fight, then everybody's going to be like, oh, well, nobody expected him to win anyway. So I think he really has a mentality rolling in of like, he's got nothing to lose. Nobody's expecting him to win. He's towards the end of his career. If he goes and gets knocked out, people are going to be like, yeah, so what? You know? So if anything, that gives him more, what do you call it? More motivation right there to pull off the upset, to land that big shot. So, yeah, I mean, again, I don't think a loss is really going to hurt David Lemieux in this one against a hot rising star like David Benavidez. So now, the 2 questions. First, is it better for boxing if David Benavidez or David Lemieux wins this fight. And the truth is, it's better for boxing if Benavidez wins. Benavidez is one of the future stars of the sport. He's got a fun style that people want to see. And, you know, this is a kid that's got a lot of years. He's 25 years old. Everybody knows at some point we're going to be staring a potential super fight in the face between him and Canelo. And, you know, it just would be absolutely bigger for boxing if Benavidez won. Wouldn't be bad for boxing if Lemieux won, but we know what we're going to get out of Lemieux. If Lemieux pulls off this upset, everybody's going to be like, well, the guy's a one-punch guy. He got lucky. Maybe Benavidez wasn't as good as we thought. All those things are going to creep in, and then people aren't going to be so surprised when Lemieux gets in there with Canelo and gets blown away, you know, after. So that's the thing is it's definitely better for boxing because it leaves you to wonder how good is David Benavidez. So definitely better if Benavidez wins this fight. And now the final one. Who's going to win? What's my prediction? My prediction is I believe Benavidez is going to box, do his thing, not get too close at first. I think they're going to work on that kind of stuff, on getting in and hitting to the body, hitting to the head, and setting up the knockout. And then I believe towards the middle rounds, you're going to see David Lemieux wear down, and then David Benavidez is going to stop David Lemieux somewhere in the middle rounds, in my opinion. It could end early. It could end later than that. But I think Benavidez and his people are going to take a page, possibly take somewhat of a page out of the Triple G book, where Triple G, instead of going toe-to-toe, just absolutely put on a boxing clinic against Benavidez, worked the body, jabbed him, and landed those power shots, but countered Lemieux and set up the knockout victory in the 7th round that night. So I think Benavidez should take a page out of that book. I think he's going to play it smart, but I definitely think he's going to go for that killer finish. So we're going to see. But that's it. That is the David Benavidez versus David Lemieux breakdown video. Remember, this fight is taking place Saturday, May 21st, main eventing a Showtime card. It's going to be very good. Can't wait to see it. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the like button, leave me a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. All right, guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.